is
This
in the process.
conference will now be recorded.
There we go. Carly started the recording. The website is in the process of being updated, so you'll be able to see that. Oh, great. So it is 11:02. We will go ahead and get started with the presentation. Welcome, and virtual high fives or waves and appropriate elbow bumping from across this state here for the 2020 Partners in Giving campaign chair orientation. We are so happy that you guys can join us in a virtual method this year. As you saw when you first arrived, if you have any questions, please feel free to use the chat box to enter those questions in. We are asking that you leave yourself on mute during the presentation so that way your background, any background noise doesn't interfere with everyone else's ability to hear. It also doesn't impact the recording as it's occurring, okay? So we're here. Wow, things look different, obviously. Some of you are used to seeing us in person. That is not what's happening this year. We are not taco barring down on campus. Hopefully you guys are enjoying tacos later today. It is Taco Tuesday. We do want to point out the last time that we had an in-person event for Partners in Giving was 4 days before the shutdown. And of course, some of the people on UW campus left office sooner than others as far as the state's concerned. I do want to point out again, use the chat function for questions and comments. Please mute your audio if you can, so that way we don't have any background noise. All right, so we'll move into the agenda. What to expect this morning. So we're going to go through the welcome, which we just started to go through. We'll give you some general campaign information or the overview. We're also going to talk about the changes and updates and some of the reflections that we've had because of COVID-19. We will hear from a loaned executive. We'll also hear from somebody, we have two people actually, from our university coordinating committee and our state coordinating committee. And then we will have a question and answer session at the end with some experts, and then we'll close out and see if there's any other miscellaneous questions that we haven't had a chance to answer for everybody during the session today. So your trainers, if you will, for this morning, and some people are going to be coordinating here. Tammy Kuhn-Martin, she is one of my co-chairs. She's on the UW side of the house. Tammy will be speaking a little bit later this morning. Christy Hemming is also a co-chair from the UW side of the house. So Christy is going to handle with some of the questions. So if you do submit a question, don't worry, somebody is paying attention to the chat. And then as I mentioned myself, Lindsay Johnson, I am the co-chair from the state side. I work for the Department of Employee Trust Funds. As my husband jokes, you all come to us eventually because you'll retire at some point in time or you'll leave state service. All right, so Stronger Together, we are moving forward. And we're going to talk about some of the other people that are joining us. We do want to let you know, so chair orientation and volunteer sessions are put on annually for Partners in Giving campaign by the Training and Outreach Committee. You can see here on the slide, this is a number of the folks who join us from both the state side and the UW side to help us carry out these trainings every year.
Okay, I'll be right down. I just gotta make sure I
want to point out the Training and Outreach Committee is always accepting new members. So if after today, if after chair orientation, volunteer training campaign, you guys are interested in joining a committee, helping carry out training, or just talking to people about Partners in Giving throughout the season, we have a number of committees that'd be happy to join you. We do kind of have a bias. We believe the Training and Outreach Committee is the best. So we're going to encourage any of you guys to join us as well. But the coordinating committees are accepting members, our eligibility committee, as well as our marketing committee are all accepting members throughout the year. I'll go to the next one here. So about the campaign. For those of you who are new, just so you're aware, the workplace campaign for the state of Wisconsin, UW-Madison, and UW Health employees in Dane County. So that is why we're here today. That will be the purpose of all of your coordinating efforts and really the communication that you're going to put forth for your agencies, your school, and your business units later this year. The campaign has been alive since 1973, and since that year, we have been able to raise more than $81 million. That's a huge thing. You know, obviously with some things that are going on right now, and I should say things that have happened in general for the last few years between weather events and social events, it's even more important for people to come together as often as possible. We get to benefit more than 500 charities that participate under 11 different umbrella organizations. We'll talk a little bit about what those are in a little bit. So by all means, if you're wondering, Partners in Giving for the state of Wisconsin is a huge, huge thing. It is a large public campaign. It is one of the biggest in the nation. So we're proud that in Wisconsin we give back, and as employees, you guys give back too. All right, so just another slide here. We're going to show you, these are the umbrella groups that are represented in our campaign here. So of those 500 plus charities, those end up breaking down into umbrella groups being represented by those. And you'll see as you move through the campaign this year, just like it is every year, people can give individually to a charity, they can give to an umbrella group, or they can give to the campaign as a whole. So we'll go to the campaign timeline is next here. So here's a timeline of what to expect or what happens for Partners in Giving. We give this just as a kind of overview so you have an idea what's happening. So in February, charities start submitting participation applications, and that is so that they can participate in the campaign. Our eligibility committee vets those applications. They have to meet specific criteria before they can be considered for inclusion in the campaign. So if people ask you, yes, charities are vetted every year. Then in March, they review and recommend those applications for participation. In April, the campaign dates and goals are set. That's done at the board level for the administrative board. And then in August, Training and Outreach Committee conducts chair orientation. So boom, you've done a thing on your to-do list, which is attend volunteer training here for chairs. In September then, we have planned to conduct some sessions, virtual sessions, of course, of volunteer training. And those volunteer trainings are going to be different this year. In the past, we've conducted separate volunteer trainings on the UW campus and on the state side throughout the city. This year, because we're going virtual, we're shaking it up a little bit, and we are going to host specifically sessions that include both UW and state people. Those sessions and links for registration for those dates are up on our website, giving.wi.gov. .org. So please take a look at that and feel free to register for those when the time comes after today, and to have anybody that's going to assist you with your campaign in your business unit or agency to register for those. We want to point out the campaign dates, the formal dates of the campaign are October 12th through November 27th of 2020. We always put in this little asterisk here as a reminder. Donations and special event funds are accepted through May 15th of 2021. So just this like little plug. If you have events that you're still conducting in December or January, or you know, let's hope here that we can still be in person sometime early next year. You could have in-person events, still collect funds, still submit them on behalf of your business unit or agency to count towards the 2020 campaign totals up until May 15th of 2021. All right, we'll take a look then. How did we do last year in the 2019 campaign? So for the 2019 campaign, we raised just over $2.4 million on both the UW side of the house, the state side, and UW Health. So it's a huge, huge thing. The number of donors, you can see there, just over 6,000. And special events. Special events are a great way to get people excited about the campaign or maybe bring awareness to it. In special events, we raised just over $170,000. So great job, you guys. If you participated in the campaign last year, no matter what your participation level was, thank you for sharing the word, getting the information out there, and getting people involved. Thank you for returning if you're returning this year, and thank you for stepping up if this is your first year in participation. It's greatly appreciated. We know the work is going to be different for everybody this year, but we're here to help get you through that and give you any tips, ideas that you can get through a virtual campaign. So for the 2020 campaign, I mentioned there those dates, October 12th through November 27th. Those are up on our website. It'll be, of course, in this slide deck. So every year as a board, an administrative board, we like to discuss for the campaign a goal, set a goal for the campaign. So it's good business. So our goal this year is to have a safe, accessible, and cost-effective campaign. Of course, because we're not meeting in person, we're not having tacos like we normally would. There's some costs associated with that that's no longer happening. As far as being safe and accessible, that means that we want you to carry out the campaign however it works best for your school or agency or business unit. We know some people have folks that are working on site. A vast majority of you may still be working remotely for quite a period of time, so carry out the campaign whatever works best so that it's safe and accessible for everybody involved. Our volunteer goals, we would recommend that as chairs, you work with your loaned executive or coordinating committee member to set a goal for your unit or your agency, whether or not you want to focus on dollars raised or maybe just having a certain number of people participate within your agency. Those are all great goals to look at. We can definitely get you information for how your agency or school unit did last year, so you know how many people donated and how much. That information is totally accessible to you as a chair. What to do when you leave here? So this is usually the question a lot of people have. Okay, I showed up at your orientation, now what? After you leave today, we would like you to start recruiting volunteers. These volunteers are people that will help communicate about the campaign with you throughout the time period, throughout October into November. They, in some cases, may be people that will help you get paper materials out to folks if you have people on site and you have somebody who's on site at your business location to do so. Then we would ask that you get those people and yourself to attend training. Why should you attend training? Because at training, you get to share a lot of wonderful ideas with other people as far as what's worked well for their campaign, maybe talk about some suggestions of what could work well this year, as well as getting an idea of what other people have done in the past or are talking about doing this year. You'll also want to do things like establish a strategy. How are you going to communicate with people about the campaign? What's going to work best for you? Is email going to work best? Do you have an intranet site that you can set something up on, or a newsletter? Are you having staff meetings? Those are good ways to do that. And then you're going to want to look at the timelines, set up some of those goals, and then discuss some special events and some other things that you'll do to help carry out the campaign within your business unit. Again, I mentioned you'll want to review last year's info. Best place to go is to know where you were. We have the website here with some information that you can find. We like to post a lot of information, so information about different kinds of special events. We've had some of our committee members from training and outreach have come up with a pretty long list of events that you could have that are virtual or in person. They work in a variety of different methods, and that can be found out there on our website, giving.wi.gov/volunteers-chairs. When you get to the website, there's a lot of information out there and some banner information for you. Again, you also need to promote and communicate the campaign progress to your team and employees. And this is like all through the campaign. Very often people want to know, how are things going? How did we do? How is what we're living through impacting the campaign, especially since this has been going on for so long? I can guarantee your employees who have been there for a while know about this, and they may want to know how things are going, okay? Other things that you'll be doing then is expecting to track donations, whether or not you track them yourself or if you have a volunteer from your business unit that's going to assist. I know some places have dedicated accounting people, somebody who acts as the accountant and does all the tracking. So those are some of the things that you're going to want to focus on. If you have any questions, feel free to ask today. As I mentioned earlier, use the chat. You can go ahead and ask that question right in there. Otherwise, you can email us afterwards or check out the website for those. All right, so I mentioned one of the things you'll do after today is work at scheduling the virtual volunteer training. So virtual volunteer training sessions, we have 6 sessions that are set up to occur virtually again. They're going to go through GoToMeeting or a version of GoToMeeting. So you'll receive a dedicated link to attend. You'll receive some additional general information about the campaign. We'll tell volunteers specifically in more detail changes to the campaign. Of course, today we already have a lot of information, but as we proceed in the next week or so, we have a lot of other things that start to get finalized that are kind of the nitty-gritty details that people are used to hearing. And then we're also going to offer a lot of small group discussion. It can be done virtually. We've done it. We will make it happen. So we'll have little small breakouts for people to be able to talk amongst themselves and about some of the different things that you could do or may try doing. So as you can see here, the sessions are in September. We have quite a few that we try to do kind of morning and afternoon, so that way hopefully something will work with your schedule. They're only an hour and a half long, but they do have a lot of information, especially about how the campaign is going to be conducted this year because we have so many changes. So please go out there to our website, giving.wi.gov. You go into the volunteers and chairs section there, and you can register for those dates directly through there as it works for your schedule. All right. After today, Tammy and I will be emailing chairs and requesting that you start to provide us the names of the folks within your agency that will be helping as volunteers. We ask for that information because once the campaign gets started, there's a variety of different communications that we may send out and that we have to send out. And we want to make sure that we're getting every bit of information to everyone else so we don't have to send them to you as chairs and then you have to forward them out to other people. If we could just send it directly, then we would like to do that. Jamie asked, will volunteers have to attend just one session or do they need to worry about attending all of the sessions? They only need to attend one session. So we'll cover the same things at every single one of those 6 sessions. Of course, conversation is always different based on the groups, but we will have the same presentation, Jamie, at every single session. So your volunteers only have to attend the one that works out best for their schedule. And you don't have to attend. I'm going to throw that back, right? It's not a have to. We would really encourage you to do so and to have those people attend because we really want to make sure that as much information is given to those folks as possible. There's also a question, are the volunteer sessions for the volunteers that they're recruiting or for us? Chairs can definitely attend the volunteer sessions. We would encourage you as chairs to attend a volunteer training session. As I mentioned, there's a lot of information that we have to date, but there's still a couple pieces that will get finalized in the next week or two, and we want to make sure that we get that information to chairs. Of course, we always like to send out an email with some of those final decisions beforehand, but it's great if you can hear it firsthand at a training. So volunteers should attend. Chairs, you should also attend the volunteer training sessions because you are also a volunteer. All right, so I will hand it over to Tammy, who's going to start talking about some of the changes that you'll expect to see this year.
Actually, Lindsay, there's one more question that came in. Is it at all important that our volunteers, basically, should we all go to the same training or could we do them separately? What works best for them? What works best for them? You don't have to attend as a group, so.
Yeah, we would encourage you, if at all possible, to not attend as a group. And again, that's because different conversations are going to occur at different sessions. And it's nice when you can have people being a part of different conversations at different sessions. You might hear an idea from somebody at a different place that doesn't get brought up in your session. So if you can have your volunteers attend different sessions, that would be what we would encourage.
And then we have another question to Lindsay as well is, so I think I'm hearing that chairs need to provide volunteer names and email addresses. And I can answer this one. Yes, that's correct, Mary. Lindsay will be reaching out for the state side and I will be reaching out for the UW side. And we are looking for their names and email addresses. So. Okay, so I think I'm just popping through the questions. A bunch just popped up here quick.
Mary had a follow-up and that was the deadline for responding to that.
Good question. Go ahead, question,
Mary. I would say Tammy and I would prefer that we have the names and the email addresses of your volunteers as soon as possible. I would say no later than September 9th. That way there's still some sessions that your volunteers could attend if you don't have that figured out by September 9th. We are super aware that working remotely adds a whole different layer of creativity that will have to be met for you to be able to communicate with folks to figure out who can help out and how they're going to help. So just keep that in mind. There's also a question about, is the template going to be the same as last year? So for those of you who are returning chairs, there is a spreadsheet template that we send out to you as a chair and ask to use that to return back volunteer names with email addresses. Yes, Therese, it will be the same template again, because the UW side does need to provide the UDDS number.
Actually, it won't be, Lindsay, because of what I'm just about to explain.
Oh, there you go.
And we're, you know, with everything related to what we're going through with the pandemic, things change by the minute, you all. So just hang tight, Therese, and I'll explain what's going to happen and what the new process is here in just a second. So thanks, Lindsay, for taking the first half of the slides. And hi, everybody. I am Tammy Kuhn-Martin. I'm 22 weeks in working from home. It feels like it. So I will let you see my kitchen and dining room. So if you can see me, here we go. And I do also miss seeing you all in person, and wish we were at Union South enjoying Tackle Bar right now and looking and chatting. But obviously under the circumstances, we can't do that. So greatly appreciate you all signing in and joining us here today. So yeah, so, you know, as we said in the beginning, for myself and most of UW folks, we left campus 4 days after we last were in person. So it's been a while, and as a campaign as a whole, we've had a lot of questions from folks like, hey, what's the campaign going to look like? And as a board and all the committees really took into consideration what was going to be best for this year's campaign. So I'm going to outline 5 changes that are going to be changing this year just due to the circumstances that we are under. And then I will go through each one and explain it, and then we'll move on to our guest speakers. So the big one this year, and Therese, this is kind of answers your question here, what we'll be looking for is we are not personalizing pledge forms this year at all in a printing form. We will have printed pledge forms, but they're going to be blank. The other thing is that we are going to, as a campaign, take up the approach that e-pledge is our preferred way of folks to give this year, and there's multiple options, and we'll talk through that. A PDF of the booklet and pledge form will be on our website where people can review it and look for it if they happen to not need a paper copy or have access to a paper copy. We're going to have the ability that a donor can request mailed materials be sent to them directly, and that can be to their home address or whatever address they choose. Then as chairs, you get to decide, and we'll go into the specifics in a couple slides on if you want to have the ability to have materials sent to you and have a setup what a specific centralized location for pickup will be within your unit if you have employees who are going to be on site. We completely understand and know that the case is and for many folks that they may not be on site full time or at all. And so the campaign has recognized this and acknowledged this. And, you know, for myself, I actually know that I'm actually going to not be back on campus at least until spring. So I know there's a lot of folks in that same situation. We also want people to be safe. As Lindsay mentioned, it's our goal, part of our goal to make sure that we're safe throughout this campaign. Okay, so the first thing we did to changes this year is on our website at giving.wi.gov is we made what we're calling a landing page for the 2020 options for giving this year. As you can see, everything I just outlined before, there's a section if you want to go through ePledge, there's going to be a link for that up in the top. You can access a PDF file of the pledge form and charity booklet on the website. That link is still being finalized, but it'll be there where somebody could print and complete it. If you want to pick up the pledge form from your chair, and then obviously the requesting to something, the booklet and form be mailed to your home, and they'll be completing a survey where they'll provide that information. So e-pledge plans, options through e-pledge, and these are not different than what we've had for the last number of years that we've had the e-pledge system in place. You have the ability to set up a payroll pledge through ePledge, and you also have the option to do it via credit card. And this year I want to make sure everybody completely understands, because I think was some confusion with this just for folks, chairs that have been around for a while who use the original ePledge system that we had in place. For credit card, it can be set up either as a one-time donation, or there's a payment plan option set up that you can select a number of payments that can be charged to your credit card. So this is very similar to writing a check or making a cash donation, particularly if somebody is using their debit card through their local financial institution. We're really honestly discouraging people giving cash this year, especially through the mail, but even if you're setting up the paper option in your office or in your units, to not do it via cash and going from that way. A successful ePledge campaign, what does it look like? We're giving you all access in ePledge. So if you're a new, I should back up. If you're a chair who's done this in the past, so last year and before, every year you've actually had the ability to see who has given within your units in the ePledge system if we have set it up for you. As a campaign this year, we decided anybody who is a chair this year will have that information in ePledge where they can see who donated in the 2019 campaign, which is really excellent because for those who've seen those reports, it gives you a lot of information. It gives you their name, whether they gave paper or they gave online, the date, etc., things like that. And so what we're hoping that you'll do to make a successful ePledge campaign is to review that report, and anybody that gave paper in 2019, ask them maybe to give an ePledge in 2020, but you can follow up with those folks directly. Our communication plan. 2 emails will be sent campaign-wide. So for the state side, that email is going to come from DOA, and at UW, that communication is going to come out through University Communications. The first email will be sent out a couple weeks before the campaign starts to all employees to let them know, hey, the campaign is going to look a little different this year, just kind of a heads up, the options that we're going to have, and that's in. The week of a campaign, and the other email is going to be the traditional email that goes out, or that has gone out in the past. So on the state side, that is going to have your login information and how to give in ePledge, and on UW, it'll be very similar to the letter that was sent from the provost and the vice chancellor for finance last year. Also coming from the campaign, from our marketing committee, will be bi-weekly newsletters to all campaign volunteers. So you all will be getting them through Constant Contact, and this is one of the reasons, in addition for training, is that we ask for your volunteer names so that they get that same information. And the marketing committee has done a great job in previous newsletters, not only providing detailed information of where we are in the campaign, but pictures from events, and we get to hear from our umbrellas and etc. and things like that. So feel free to use that information however you need to communicate to your potential donors. And then we ask you send emails and communicate internally to make the ask, answer questions, and give update to the campaign. It's even more important this year, since the majority of us will not be face-to-face and be able to make that ask. And I know for me, if you've sat through a number of my trainings or orientations, I'm always the person that says, please don't put things in mailboxes, please hand deliver it. And so it's a little hard for me to say, please just send emails, but that is the way of the times, and that's what we're going to do. Internally, I make the ask questions. I'm just taking a peek. Yes, good question. Every other week, sorry. That the newsletters will be coming out. And then, yes, you should still probably, Janet's asking, will we receive the list of employees for our units to create the email list? I think so, Janet, but I will have to confirm with Carly from our fiscal agent. She is working with the payroll folks on that. If we don't send it through the campaign, now I'm not saying whether we will or we can or we can't, you can also always ask your HR folks for that same information. I know I do that, but Janet, we'll definitely make a note. And if Carly, if you happen to know the answer already, just pop it in the chat. But if you don't, we'll definitely put that as a follow-up. Okay, so let me just see here. Okay, so that's successful ePledge campaign.
There was a question about bi-weekly.
Yeah.
From Therese. No, that's okay. So she's asking bi-weekly is in every other week?
Yep.
Okay.
I got that one. And then I got Jamie. And then Jamie's, are we allowed to share with previous donors that we know they donated? I yes. You know, as long as you do it in a very tactful way. I wouldn't say, well, I know, you know, Lindsay, you donated $100. Can you give $150 this year? But we do on our website have some templates that can be used in email forms for follow-ups to make that ask. I encourage you to take a look at that, that, you know, and fits what's best within your unit. You're welcome, Jamie. Okay, so we're not going completely away from the paper options. You know, as a campaign, we've read research and taken a look at other campaigns when they've gone completely paperless. And, you know, obviously what happened is their campaign went down substantially. And so we felt it was important, even though we're emphasizing, you know, e-pledge this year, that we still have some folks who really want to give by paper, and that we recognize that and we honor that. And so we have kept paper options, and so I will go through those next. Okay, on the website, and I think we've said it 20 times today, but giving.wi.gov, like I mentioned, we're going to have the charity book as a PDF. And so people can download it or just view it there and take a look at the entire thing to find what charity or charities that are looking for. We're going to have the option that they can download and complete a PDF pledge form on that. So right now, I'll tell you two things that was kind of going on. Right now, the option is that they have to download it, complete it, print it, sign it, and then mail it to the fiscal agent directly. And that information will be on the pledge form or on that website where the address for that. What we're looking into is that hopefully, so everybody cross your fingers and toes, that we will have the ability to download that PDF pledge form and that it can be emailed to the fiscal agent. That way, you know, we recognize that then everybody has a printer at home to be able to print that out, and it also saves them a stamp in an envelope to send that. So stay tuned on that. We for sure will have an answer on that question when we hit the volunteer training session. So that would be one of the reasons that both attend this and the training, as we'll have some updates, I'm sure. As I mentioned, things seem to be changing every day. The other paper option is that they can request the pledge form booklet or be mailed to them. So there is a form on the website that can request information, and the potential donor can decide how much of that information they want. Do they want the pledge form and the booklets? They can get that. Are they just looking for the pledge form? That can be sent. The important thing that we are actually sending along in this mailing is a prepaid return envelope, so that they don't have to find that stamp or find that envelope to send that in, that it will go along with the materials that they sent, so they can complete their pledge form, sign it, and then put it in the envelope and just stick it in the mail, and it'll be sent to the fiscal agent. For this option, we're going to be mailing out these materials in a bulk about mid-campaign. So if somebody requests it the first week of the campaign, it's not going to go to them until week 3 or 4. And then part of the reason we did this, that it's cheaper for the campaign, and we're always trying to be very, you know, very conscious with our funds, that the administrative funds on this, it's cheaper to send them by bulk. If any requests come in after that bulk mailing is done, they will be handled on a case-by-case situation as they go through. Any questions? I'm just taking a peek here. No, we're good. Okay. The third option, and again, this is where you as the campaign chair get to decide what option works best for you. And you all, well, most of you all should have gotten an email through Constant Contact a couple weeks ago asking you just some basic general information, like how many people will be back in your office, you know, how many posters do you want, booklets do you want, pledge forms, that's what this is tied to. So after you hear this, honestly, if you want to make any changes to those numbers, please let Carly know. Or resubmit a new form at that link, and we can definitely do that for you. So each unit will receive a small amount of non-personalized pledge forms, booklets, and prepaid return envelopes. You can decide where the donor can pick up the materials that is appropriate for yourself. Please just remember all current guidelines that we're under, gathering guidelines, and etc., things like that when you make those decisions. And then because we're including that return envelope, the donors will actually mail the form directly to the fiscal agent. You as chairs will no longer take the completed forms to the credit union. So one of the questions we get asked is, well, how do I track? Great question. is when the form gets to the fiscal agent, they're going into the ePledge system and entering somebody who donated via paper. That's actually been happening the last couple, for sure last year. And so there will be a small lag time in between that, but that's where you'll get that updated information. Okay, I see a couple people saying they didn't get the email. Now it came through Constant Contact. So check your junk mail, but if you did not get that, or you signed up as a chair, or we didn't get your information, we can definitely get you that information out to you after this. Another question is, when can donors ask for the materials to be mailed to them to receive them as part of the mid-campaign mail? That link, I believe, is going to go live the first week of the campaign. Oh, there's 2 questions in there. Fiscal agent contact information will be on the materials and emails and on the pledge form that you receive. You will get that information, absolutely, from there. Okay, just trying to, okay, chat's gonna come in there, great. Okay, any questions on those paper options before I move on? Okay, all right, so we'll move on. So special events. We still want people to have special events. It's a great way for people to get excitement about the campaign and, you know, take part of it. A lot of times that's where you can get your first time donors information, or first time donors to participate in the campaign. You know, they may came down for a chili cook-off or did a photo contest or a game or something that you're hosting within your unit. So we don't want you not to do special events. But what we do want is for you to be creative and host virtual events this year. There should be no in-person events unless it's like a party of 3 under the current guidelines. But no, truly, no person events. We as a campaign are not hosting or providing support for any in-person tabling events this year. So if you can think of, and I honestly feel like when my son was doing virtual school in the spring, you know, towards the end, they were getting a little beat down of everything. They were coming up with some great fun activities for the kids to do. I've seen a lot of Zoom dance parties. I've seen bingo. I've seen, if you name it, I probably have been in it. Heck, I'm actually going to a virtual wedding this weekend. So you can definitely come up with some things. We have updated the special event guide with virtual focused events, and that is on the website. Get your campaign team and volunteers involved with this planning if you have not done so already. There is going to be a tool coming for special events donations very soon. As soon as we have that finalized, we will email it out to everyone so you have that information. What it's kind of looking like to be, it's going to be obviously through the ePledge system. But we're trying to just work out the details to make sure that when somebody makes a donation for that special event, it gets linked back to your specific unit. And not just overall as a campaign special events fund. Plan and host virtual kickoff events with speakers. There's going to be a form on the website, just like there has been in past, where you want to have a speaker come in. You know, maybe just jump to the next thing. And you can request that information. So virtual kickoff and lunch and learns with charity speakers are encouraged. They are available to join virtually or send a pre-recorded message. We've asked each umbrella to provide a pre-recorded message as a beginning, and then we'll go from there. The form is on the giving.wi.gov, and then obviously ask your loaned executive to help you schedule a speaker to help and plan that kickoff, and they will be in touch with you very soon. So I would not have any alcohol events in this virtual environment, and definitely check with your unit or agency's policy on alcohol events for whether they are in person or virtual. Just trying to check here. Is there any? Oh, there's a suggestion for a special event in the chat, virtual staring, blinking, or smiling contest. I feel like that's every day where I have a meeting. Okay, so that was kind of the end of the changes section. I just want to make sure to see if there's any other questions that anybody has. How's everybody feeling about this change? If you want to put in a comment, yay or nay. Is it going to make your life easier?
Lori wanted to know, when do we find out who our fiscal agent is?
Well, our fiscal agent is actually United Way of Dane County, so it's a charity organization. It's not a specific person.
I think they mean LEs.
Lori, can you comment whether that's actually what you're asking, or were you asking who our fiscal agent was? Give you a second there. So if you're asking about your LE, Carly, it's, I guess, our main contact. Or rep for, so yeah, so your LE, your loan executive, is probably going to be your contact for the campaign from the loan exec side. And then there's a coordinating committee member who also will be your rep. Then they, if they haven't, those folks, if they haven't reached out to yet, will be doing it shortly. I believe the LA assignments will be happening over the next couple, 2 to 3 weeks, and then they'll be reaching out to you directly. Yes, the slides actually will be posted. A question about if send the slides afterwards. They're going to be posted on the website under the volunteers section, in addition to the recording of this session here. So, and then you'll get that information. So, and that's something we do every year, is we post those slides because we find it very helpful for you all to have them afterwards, because you're thinking, now what did they say to me? To go with there. So. Okay, sounds good. So we're gonna move on to the next section. And what the heck is a loan executive? I just used that word a few times and you said LE. So we are very honored today that we actually have one of our returning LEs here, who's going to hop on for a few minutes and talk about what she does and how they can help you and all that stuff. So Jody, it is your turn.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. My name is Jody Renault, and I'm very excited to be back as a loan executive working with the Partners in Giving campaign. So you want to know what a loan executive is? Well, if you use us, we can be your best friend in the work that you're facing ahead. We're limited term employees. We're hired by United Way to help with fall campaigns. Some of the loan executives are loaned by a company. That means that the company is still paying their salary, but they're letting them work for this community event at no cost to United Way. Some of us are sponsored by a local company that we have no connection with, but those companies are just paying our salaries as providing community support. I am graciously sponsored by Ascension Education Group. I'm very thankful for them. And so, yes, we're here to help you. We're here because we're passionate about the community, and we're committed to help you run a successful campaign. We have extensive training in fundraising and also really practical knowledge about how to plan a campaign. We've been learning about the needs of our community and also the resources that are available to help those needs, so that we can really speak directly to your staff about where their dollars go in terms of helping people. You might be wondering how your campaign is going to be looking in under the given circumstances. I certainly have been wondering about that myself, but I'm very optimistic that even in this virtual world, we can make this work. So we're here to help you come up with strategies for engagement opportunities for your staff in this virtual world. We can send inspiring videos or other resource materials for you to use. We can secure virtual speakers, and we can help you facilitate those virtual special events, which are so important to helping people feel engaged with the campaign. We can also help you if you have ePledge questions or issues that come up. If you need paper copies of things, we can help you figure out where you're going to be able to pick those up, or how you're going to get those things mailed out to you. So just know that we're here really to help you, and we're excited to do so. The next step will be that you will hear from one of the loan executives. Either it will be myself, Jody Renault, or Peter Maloa, or Donna Campost. Will be reaching out to you probably by an email to set up a meeting where we will then go over with you, what your goals are, how do you want to plan your campaign. We can talk about events, we can talk about your kickoffs, how that might look, and really help you deliver the message of giving even under these difficult times. And I do think people want to give, so we certainly are going to be here to help inspire your staff to do that. That was quick, but if you have any questions, I think there's going to be time at the end for that. And just thank you for giving me this time to speak. And really, I hope you will let your loan executive help you with your campaign. That's what we're here to do. Thank you.
All
I
right.
just
Oh, go
want
ahead,
to
Lindsay,
point
sorry.
out real quick, there was a question, which I expect a lot of people have this question. And that is, are we identifying any specific charities that are, I should say, assisting with COVID efforts, COVID relief in specific? And we are not identifying specific charities. We have heard from a very large number of umbrella representatives and local charities and state charities, and of course charities across the nation, that the money that will be collected through this year's campaign and into next year is going to go to those relief efforts, right? A lot of the missions of these charities are directly being impacted by what's going on right now with COVID. So that is what you can expect. And some of these are, mentioning it, if you see like any of the food banks or some of the shelters and some of those, they're all being impacted by that. So any charities that receive money specifically, across the state, locally, nationwide, even globally, are going to definitely benefit those who are being impacted in a variety of different ways.
Awesome. Thanks, Lindsay, for that answer, getting that question. So any other questions for Jody? Jody, we're really excited to have you back this year again as well. I saw a couple comments about that.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
All right. All right. So next we're going to talk about coordinating committee members, and we're lucky enough here today to have two folks talking to us. So I will introduce Gloria first, if you are ready.
I am. All right. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Gloria Palencia, and I am the State Coordinating Committee Chair. So in addition to the loan executives on what Jody just mentioned, the State Coordinating Committee is also here to help you in this year's campaign. So basically, we're here to answer any questions you guys have about the campaign. We're also here to brainstorm any ideas that, after you kind of put together your volunteers, it's good to kind of talk about the ideas that you guys will come up with. And we are here to kind of help you with that, just in case you guys have any questions on whether you can do certain activities. So definitely we're there to help you with that process. And also, if you guys want to set goals and review any department or agency campaign history that that you guys haven't seen, or maybe you guys want to know more about that, we can help you with that as well. So basically, you will be contacted by one of the coordinators that will be including myself as well. So basically, we plan on getting and on reaching out to all of you sometime this month to kind of introduce ourselves. And then basically, if you ever need our help, just send us an email. Like I said, we will provide our contact information to you. And of course, we are here to help the best way we can to make your campaign successful. So again, Thank you again for volunteering to be a chair this year. It will be a very exciting year, and we will definitely have to be very creative this year to make this year successful. So we really look forward to working with all of you. Like I said, if you have any questions or if you need help, don't be afraid to just reach out to me or any of the state coordinators that will be reaching out to you sometime this month. Thanks, Sammy.
Thanks, Gloria. And then from this university coordinating committee, we have Jeff Russell who is the co-chair of the UCC and the Dean of Continuing Studies on campus to share a few thoughts with you as well.
Okay.
Yep, I can hear you, Jeff.
All right, great. Well, hey, good morning, and want to just follow on. I know it's already been a long morning, and you've almost been on the call for an hour, so just want to offer a few quick.
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah.
Jeff, you're cutting in and out. Are you happen to be closer to your mic by chance?
Yeah, is this better?
Not quite. Maybe a little more.
How's that? Is that better?
Right there is good.
All right. Well, I'll just try to be brief. I've been having trouble with my connection, so it might just be.
Yeah, that might be what it is, Jeff, because it keeps going in and out.
Yeah. So why don't you, can you skip and let me see if I can get on another platform, and if I can't come back, then.
Okay. Yep. Just chat me. Message when you're back, and then we will help you there. Because honestly, everybody, you're gonna want to hear what Jeff says. He's very inspirational, and I don't just say that because I've been working with him for 20 years. But okay, sounds good.
Yeah. Thanks.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So while we're waiting for Jeff, let's and we'll have him pop back on here. So we've kind of reached the point where the Q&A, and I know we're ahead of time, so we're definitely going to get you a lot of time back here today. But we also know you probably have lots of questions. You know, our experience is from when we're all sitting in a room together that questions pop up. If you've been doing this with us for a while, you know, you usually have cards that come up to Lindsay and I, and you know, that kind of thing. So if you want to start asking any additional questions, we definitely can do that. See some people super excited about having LE having the LEs back. Yes, we love having them. You know, in addition to the LEs, that also feel free to reach out. And you know, I mentioned a little bit about having speakers from the umbrellas, but all our umbrellas have representatives too that know how to run campaigns, right? They work for nonprofits, and they can provide that information to you. So if you feel free to reach out to any of them. I know we have Darren and Jackie and Carly from their respective umbrellas here today. They're a resource available to you as well, and we'll actually have them at the volunteer trainings to help facilitate conversations and answer questions and just provide some great guidance to us all. I know I lean on them a lot of times for information. So, so I think Jeff is back on. Let me see. Otherwise, we actually do have another member of the UCC here today. I'm just trying to see here if, okay, Jeff's probably still working on it. So Greg, yeah, do you want to just talk a little bit, and then we'll have Jeff pop on when he can with some messages, if you don't mind. Oh, Jeff, can you hear me? Gotta love technology, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jeff, it's still cutting in and out. So I think what I'm going to do, Jeff, is Greg's on. So I'm going to have him talk a little bit about the UCC, and then we'll try to get you back on. Otherwise, we can figure out another way.
Yeah, hi. Thanks, Sammy.
Yeah, thanks, Greg, for doing that.
Oh, no problem. I've been involved with the campaign for a lot of years, and this for a while was actually a campaign chair at the School of Medicine Public Health. And as a chair, I found that the coordinating committee members can be extremely helpful in terms of providing information, as well as linking me up with resources when I needed them. You know, they're volunteers like we all are, and you know, there's somebody who can really help make your job very, very easy as a chair. They work closely with the LEs. You know, we try to communicate throughout the campaign with all the campaign chairs. Basically, on the university side, we work with different units. There's about 8 or 9 of us that are on the committee. And we are linked up with different schools or units, and will touch base with you from time to time just to see how the campaign's going, if there's anything that you need. Are you running into any particular problems? Most of us have been involved with the campaign for quite a few years, so for somebody who's new, sometimes it can be daunting when you have a challenge come up within your unit. That's where when I was a campaign school chair, would reach out to the coordinating committee member that was working with me in order to just get the information that I needed to do the job and respond to a donor. It's something that really we're all in this together as volunteers, and I think that if we work together successfully, we can really make the campaign a success, even with the challenges that we're facing this year with COVID-19. I don't know if that's what you wanted Jeff to cover, Tammy. I know I'm not as dynamic as Jeff, so hopefully that's enough information for people to understand what the university committee does.
I think that was great, Greg. And just so everybody knows, when Greg says that he has a few years in the campaign, this campaign will be Greg's 45th campaign. I always joke that I call him the godfather of this campaign, but it truly is. So thank you, Greg, for that. That's exactly what we were looking for. And thank you for your service to this campaign and being a volunteer. And thank you for stepping up so quickly to help us out with this. So thank you. Oh, Greg, you got a shout out on the chat board. Okay, so now it was time to answer some questions. What does folks have? I'll just give you a couple seconds. I know it takes a time to type out what you're thinking for us to see what's going on. So a question came in, where can we find resources and a link to virtual events? So the resources and link to the virtual events information will be on the website under the volunteer section. And actually I can, so I'm gonna stop sharing my screen for a second and I'm going to pop over to the website. So just give me 1 second here. Oh, look, you all popped up on my screen. I can see you. Okay, and then we'll reshare. Okay, so everybody can see the website. If you go to the volunteers section, so this is the page on the website you're probably going to want to go to the most. And there's a resource section and then a request an event. So this will be where the information will be updated for having these events. And it's already been updated. So we're confirming that your event's going to be virtual, how many speakers that you're going to want, an option for your event, etc. Your name, your unit, things like that. And then we're going to put, and we're still updating the website, but typically any of this, the things that you may be looking at, helpful docs, marketing materials, forms, things like that. The themes have been done there, and then the updated virtual guide will be here as well. One question, so I'm just going to pop up.
Tammy, we have a question about special events. How will people
Yes.
collect virtual funds? And will there be a state approved method or application to do so?
So that's what we're currently trying to work out with the fiscal agent and how to collect the funds. We're not going to have the going to the traditional credit union with your change or your dollars or in that envelope. So we're going to have an online tool, and yes, it's been vetted through the board and a number with DOA and legal folks from a number of agencies who deal with security and things like that. where somebody can make their donation directly online, and to, depending on what we end up going with, have the option to do it either via like a debit card or doing it as a, so like, for example, if you use, I use PayPal, so I'll just use an example. I have a PayPal account where, and then we can make a donation to another, or make transfer funds to another PayPal account. It can draw directly out of my checking account. But the ability to have those change jars, it unfortunately is not going to be there this year. But we have a heck of a lot of other ideas to hold virtual events and competition, and maybe there's a case where you can do a virtual change jar within units where people keep their change at home and, you know, keep track of it that way. And then when we go back to whatever normal is, and get those folks. The other thing with the change jar is, I don't know if everybody knows, but we're in a little bit of a change shortage right now. So I don't know if our folks at the financial institutions really want people coming in and getting rolls of quarters. I'm looking at you, Clark. They're always my competition for getting change from UW Credit Union, for go from there. So there was a question.
There's a question about if there's going to be some additional information in volunteer training, some suggestions of different virtual platforms that could be used to host various meetings and presentations.
I think it's a really good question. We could definitely put a list together. You know, I think there's the traditional ones that folks are using now, Zoom, Microsoft Teams. This is my first time I used GoToMeeting, but I've heard that it's something done, used very common. You know, there's, I've heard people do Facebook events. So we definitely could probably put a list together that we can share at trainings. Definitely. Great.
We'll always throw a little caveat out there. Make sure you talk to your IT folks.
Absolutely.
Right, when you're using the methods of your business unit or your school or agency, your IT folks always have a preference of what they can and cannot support, or what they would like to see used. So just double check with them on some of those platforms if it's not a platform that you already utilize in maybe your regular day or periodically to conduct business.
Absolutely, absolutely. Even, yes, I mean, I think that's one thing that we have said every year, you know, we can give you ideas and suggestions on anything, and tour orientation or trainings or things like that, but also check with your local folks. I know I always have to throw, I thought I would not say this year, but not being in person, but an example of it is on the UW side, we're not actually allowed to have a lot of food events due to risk management liability and rules like that. So I'm always telling folks, make sure you check locally and go from there. So thanks, Lindsay, for pointing that out. I think we've caught up. You know, we've said it a number of times throughout this, but I do want to say thank you for volunteering for this campaign. Under normal circumstances, we know it's a lot of work and time commitment, but you all find the time because you're passionate about this campaign and want to do it. And obviously with the times that we're in remote working or just not being able to have that contact if you're back in the office with other people, it's a little harder, and we're all doing a little bit extra work anyways in our day jobs. So I just super thank you for that. Registration, as Lindsay mentioned, for the trainings is open, so you can definitely sign up for if you have a preferred choice of one of the 6 options. We are limiting capacity at each session to 50, just based on the platform we're using and having the ability to have those small discussions. But one of those trainings will be recorded as well, so if there's a chance that somebody doesn't get registered or none of those times work for them, they'll be able to view it online and go from there. So Lindsay, did you have any additional thoughts or anything? I'm not seeing any other questions pop in right now.
I don't yet. By all means, you know, if you think of any questions after today, after this moment in time, please send us an email. Tammy sent a few emails. We're easily findable. You can, I should say, safely stalk us for our email addresses and various different platforms. They're also available on the Partners in Giving website and giving.wi.gov. All of the committee member information is out there, so you can find our email addresses. Please, if you have questions, shoot those emails to us with your questions. There isn't such a thing as a silly or stupid question. Chances are, especially right now, you may ask something that we didn't talk about because we just didn't think about it yet. So please ask those questions. We'd be happy to incorporate them into volunteer training and to send out future communications to all the chairs so everybody gets that information as well. There is a new question here about incentive items.
Yep. I can answer
And I'll
that.
give that to Tammy since I was at
Yes.
your side.
So, great questions. Great question. Yes, as you wrote in your question, there is a lack of sporting theater events and stuff happening on campus. So unfortunately, we're not going to have the same level of incentive items as we've had on campus in previous years. In fact, right now, the only thing that's been confirmed is one autographed item from athletics, where in the years past we had not only an autograph item, we've had sporting hockey tickets, the ability to give each donor, a code, etc., things from the theater, ice cream and stuff like that. So as of right now, that's the only thing. And there will be an email communication about picking up the items. And if you're not on campus, we're going to have an ability to make sure either hold those items for you until the time is safely to get it, or work those out. So great question. Another question, how do we know how many volunteers to try to recruit? Jamie, great question. On a normal circumstances, we say 25, one volunteer for every 25 employees, but there may be cases where you may not need as many, or there may be cases that you actually need more depending how many virtual things you're gonna do, or how many events, or how much tracking, or et cetera, and things like that. So I guess my answer to that question is have some volunteers. If you had 10 before, maybe ask for 5, or ask them all if they want to help and participate, and just see where it goes from there. I wish I had a specific answer like we normally would do, or a suggestion. Jimmy, how many, could you just, is this your first year, or are you a returning chair, and how many of you had before, if you want to just throw that in the chance? I'm gonna go from there. I don't know, Lindsay, do you have any additional thoughts on that?
I've been thinking about that significantly, because we know that we've already, some of you have had the opportunity already to respond to the materials request. And of course, the number of materials that are being requested in the business units and agencies is significantly less than what we would normally provide. So as far as how many volunteers do you need? In all honesty, I think if a lot of your communication is going to be done digitally, if you feel like your business unit receives emails well, then I'd say you could probably have fewer people, because it's pretty easy to send out a mass email. If that's not the case, maybe email is like everybody's super over electronic communication, then you may want to have a few more. I would say, putting a number to it, that's a little tricky for us to do. On average, I'd say usually what we see is anywhere from 20 to 10 people for one volunteer in a physical campaign. So in a virtual campaign, you might say, one person for every 50 people, or something like that, depending on what could work best for you. So it's just a recommendation. As far as, there was another question about, what to do if you have to be out for a period of time during your campaign. If you are going to be out during a period of time for your campaign, I know this has happened. People have, long-standing vacations, or you have to be out for medical leave, or maybe you're out in a different situation because COVID is impacting your childcare or your family leave. Then please communicate with Tammy or I. We can add additional contacts in as maybe a co-chair on your behalf, so that they're receiving any co-chair communications while you're out of the office, and they're still able to communicate with us on behalf of your business unit or agency easily.
Okay, so we had another question, and then Jeff is actually on the phone, so we'll put him in here in just a second, about the number of, both first-time chairs and haven't been involved previously, and want to know how they can get a listing of chair or coordinator information by department from previous years. So I guess my first response to that is, if you know who was chair last year, to ask them for that information. But if you don't, that is where I believe Gloria and her team of SEC or on the UCC, that they can help you with that information. Part of when they checked in with people, they should be able to, they would know they potentially know how many volunteers and what information was there. Otherwise, I know in some places, I know it's hard right now if you're not in the office, but some places have binders and boxes sticking somewhere with the partners and giving information. And honestly, if all else fails on any of those fronts, feel free to reach out to Lindsay or myself, and we can try to figure out and get you that information. We do have because we've been putting everybody's information in constant contact for the newsletters and invites to events and things like that. So we do have a master list of previous chairs and coordinators, though I don't know if it would actually be by department. We would have to check on that. So
I would have to say with my OCD, I probably do have it, but
I didn't want to say that. So this is the part you're all missing in person, is Lindsay and I making fun of each other sitting there.
yeah.
So.
Yeah, Tammy gives me grief for nitpicky. I do, so on the state side, I very often, this is the reason why I ask chairs that you send me those names. It's helpful historically. So for a few of you guys on the state side where this is your first time being a chair and maybe you don't know who chaired last year or you don't have the ability to communicate with them, shoot me an email after this. I can definitely look into, chances are I have the list of how many people you had or maybe who was involved. In most cases, on a rare occasion, you know, there are state agencies that don't get the information to me, so I might not be able to specifically get it to you, but it doesn't mean I can't dig through my files. I've been doing this for a few years, and I'm a pack rat digitally, so I may have documents from years past to at least give you an idea of maybe how many volunteers you've had in past years, even from your agency, so that you can determine, you know, how will that work out digitally for your campaign versus physical. I know we've talked about this. If the majority of your business unit is virtual, but you have a group of people who are physically on site, then you may only need, or we might recommend one physical coordinator who's on site and is able to maybe check in periodically with those folks that you have on site versus, you know, somebody who's doing it virtually. It's usually a little easier for face-to-faces in those situations.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so I'm just checking quick here. I'm going to go through the list of questions. Jeff, you're on the phone. Did you want to say a few thoughts, everybody?
Can you hear me now?
Absolutely, much better.
All right. Well, sorry about that. Well, let me just say that Greg did a great job and everybody else. So, you know, I'm here at the tail end. I just want to, on behalf of the other co-chair here on campus, Chief Roman, thank all of you for your efforts. As you know, and you've heard, the success of the campaign really comes down to the leadership, and it really requires people like you that are willing to step up and out to help us in this. I think we're all experiencing an unprecedented time. I don't have to go on and on to tell you how disruptive everything is. To have our organization go from paper to digital, not all, okay, not all, but is a signal of what I call, you know, just the real disruptive environment that we're in. And given that, what I would say is that our community, and it's probably been overstated before, but what I would say from where I sit as a dean of a small unit that has a lot of activities in the community, the disproportionate impact of what we're going through is going to really have a large effect on the 500 plus organizations that we provide opportunities for our people to give to. So what I'm trying to say is that I think our work and the need is even going to be greater, and so your willingness to participate and help and step up, both the chief and I and others in the state are really grateful and appreciate what you're willing to do. And we have great leadership. We're super excited. This is a great opportunity to be thinking creatively and uniquely. And I'm there with the chief and others armed with you to do whatever we can to help advance you know, this particular campaign and this effort. This is year 3 for the chief and I, and so we're really excited to take advantage of all the things that we've learned and things that folks have taught us, and just count the chief and I to help. If you need anything, please reach out. You know, to me, I'm more than willing to put my shoulder to the wheel as the chief is to help in any way we can. So I know it's been said a number of times. I just want you to know from the UW side, the chief and I, we are really grateful and appreciative of you stepping up, and we're excited to be working with you. So with that, by the way, I was going to show you, my parents always said I had a radio face, so that's why you don't see me on the camera. But I was going to show you my granola bar and my yogurt I was eating, which, you know, I'm missing the bar. I'm missing the taco bar, just so that all of you know. Those of you that know me well know that I like that time to have lunch with all of you, and I look forward to the time when we're all back together on campus and seeing each other and back to whatever that normal is. So thank you, Tammy, and the rest of the team. And with that, I'll go to mute.
Thanks, Jeff,
Oh,
so much.
Jeff, there
go ahead.
was a quick question I just want to
Oh,
throw
yeah,
out
I
there.
saw it.
A lot of people, Jeff, us including, are waiting on bated breath to see if you and the chief will create some new videos this year for the support of the campaign, because we really, really, really enjoy the engagement that they bring about.
Well, I have to say that, you know, I'm always super excited to do that. Now, in full disclosure, the chief is very creative and has a lot of, you know, she's much better at this than I am. Remember, although Tammy is quite nice to me, I'm an engineer. So if I had my camera on, you would see I still have my tie on. and I'm a little stiff, so the chief has to work on me a little bit, but we look forward to trying to do some of that, and we had a lot of fun with that, and hope that folks don't take us too seriously. We're not trying to be jokesters, but we are trying to just say that this is important to both her and I, and you know, if we can poke fun at each other, it's all in for a good cause.
Absolutely. And I'd be sad to say, I bet you're also wearing your pencil protector as an engineer. I'm just saying. Anyways.
Hey, now easy.
It's all good. It's all good. All right. Well, thanks, Jeff, for that. So any additional, I'm just trying to catch up here. There's been a lot of great conversations. Somebody actually mentioned, and this, I don't know if everybody can see it, about checking your org chart, because that will help you determine how many volunteers too. I think Lindsay touched on that a little bit, but I thought that actually was a really, really good idea.
We do that on the state side. So checking on your organizational chart, typically those are kept on your intranet very often, or through your human resources folks that you may have, and they can give you an idea. That just gives you a breakdown of, you know, how many business units do you have? Who do you have in those business units? Sometimes those co-locations are really helpful. If we were in a physical world, I very often would get requests from chairs to say, hey, can you tell me, these are the other agencies that live in my building. Who are their chairs? Because I would like to maybe, you know, kill multiple birds with one stone, have one coordinated event with multiple agencies. In this instance, because many of you may not see your agencies, or those agencies are not all home for a period of time, we would still, you know, thoroughly encourage you guys as chairs to reach out to each other. So we will be working on getting some information out to you about the chairs from those different sides of the house. So for the UW, Tammy will work on getting you the chair names for those other business units on the UW side. On the state side, I will get you the chair names and some email addresses for other chairs. So that way you guys can kind of communicate to each other and find out, you know, how are you doing things? How is this looking? How are you going to communicate? Share the love. Don't reinvent the wheel. If you can find somebody who's willing to share some information with you, and you can repurpose that for your purpose, or your methods, I should say, please feel free to do so. We try to put things out on the Partners in Giving volunteer section of the website with that exact idea in mind, that you can replicate what's been done so you don't have to create something brand new, especially when you're a brand new chair. You know, it's a whole different thing to be a brand new chair. It's a whole different thing to be a brand new chair in this form of the campaign.
I was just thinking, one of the advantages of being virtual is I'm just going to share something with you that we couldn't normally do if we were in person, but I am going to open up the new special events document that's coming out, just to get some folks some ideas going on, you know, thinking about virtual things. And this is what's going to be posted very shortly on the website, and it really talks about best practices, communication during the campaign, etc. But these are just, as I said, some events that somebody on our team came up with to think about. You know, virtual 10K, and I think she meant virtual like 10,000 steps a day, because we're out still trying to get those even though we're not in the office. Bingo, how to do that, a scavenger hunt, team theme days. I know my office is all over that one. The day we get to wear our pajamas, and our weekly Zoom meetings will be fun. Restaurants, carving contests, pictures, things like that. So we will post this, as I said, and that way you can see it. But just to kind of get your thoughts thinking a little bit, if you're trying to figure out how you want to kick off this campaign this year. And so I'm just taking a look. Oh, you're very welcome for sending that out. Just taking a look at anybody else. Did any of the training committee members have any last thoughts? I know we didn't get you to chat as much as we normally do, but is there anything you want to share with the chairs? Some of you have been chairs previously, may have some thoughts or anything. Just pop on up if you have something. I will say Julie is our go-to for any crazy great ideas, because she wants to try them all in her office in econ. So. Okay, any last minute questions? See a number of people kind of popped up.
Tammy.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi,
Hey,
it's
Celia, go
Celia.
ahead.
Yeah, so I just want to offer, if anyone needs any assistance with any technology or, tool usage, whether it's WebEx, Zoom, that sort of thing, or even communications with, your employees or peers or events even, I'm here to help too. So feel free to reach out to us. Kind of savvy in that area, so happy to help.
I love how you say kind of savvy. You're very savvy in this area. Celia has definitely been helping us out this summer.
That feels like super downplayed, Celia.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, she definitely.
Celia's worked on both sides of the house. She's currently on the UW side of the house, but before that, she was on the state side, best side. And so she definitely is familiar. I saw that look. She is familiar with the technologies that are often used on the state side from various different agencies. She used to work at DOA. So she has that familiarity. So definitely, if you have questions about what might work best, that's her bread and butter, as the distance learning. So please feel free to reach out to her. Again, if you guys have questions, please let us know. We don't want you to feel like we give you this information and send you out into the world. Tammy and I and all of our committee members really field questions throughout the entire campaign and into December easily. So by all means, let us know if you have something. We would love to share it. If you come up with any great ideas as we start to get through the campaign, things that are working well for you or communications that worked really well, please, we would love to have you share them with us, because chances are anything that you've done or will be doing could be super helpful for somebody else. And of course, we can always give much love and say so-and-so from such sent this information out to us.
The other thing I'd and we didn't put this in the slides, but we actually have a campaign volunteer Facebook page that I would highly encourage folks join if you are on Facebook, where we can put some of these ideas to, or shoot up questions or things like that. And if we don't have a link to it on the volunteer section of the website, we definitely can do that. I'm looking at Carly to make a note that we make sure we do that, but that would be another great opportunity, location to get questions and ideas from each other and just build that sense of community. I feel like that's the one part, honestly, that I'm missing from being in the office, is the community that we have there, and so we need to build it virtually and have us participate that way. So we're all in this together. That is definitely for sure. Oh, great question. Will we have magnets this year? So we are going to get magnets, but it's going to be post-campaign. So you will not be getting magnets up front, the handout, when somebody makes a donation. What we're going to do is we're going to order them in the spring, and we're going to order, excuse me, enough for however many donors you had. And then we're going to be, hopefully, we're back in a situation where we're back in office and we can get you that information. So it could be a case, quite honestly, that folks aren't actually going to end up getting their magnets until 2021 campaign year. But as soon as we can safely get those spring, summer, we'll make sure to get those to you.
You guys too, I also wanted to offer special event question help. Roxy came up with a great list, and she may also be willing to help with that. But if you're just stuck on things, or if there's something that maybe was purchased like bingo, we don't have to buy 15 bingo things. We could buy one rights to a bingo game for $10 versus $150. So if people are wanting to do those sort of things, just reach out to me, and I'll put my email in the message right now too.
So there was another question related to that somebody depended heavily on campaign for requesting donations from area businesses to using your incentive items. Is there a restriction on that? Absolutely not. I think this year is actually where we're going to probably have to do that a bit more if you want to, for items, you know, and so we don't have any restrictions, but then the second part of the question, you know, I don't feel that we can ask businesses that are struggling to give us stuff for free. Absolutely agree. So trying to find that balance, if you do want to go down that route, is really up to you. I think in some cases where I've ran into for things that I'm working outside of UW for asking donations, I'm going to businesses that I've worked with before, but I sort of do my research to see, you know, where they're at and really decide whether to make that ask or not. But we have no restrictions of you going out and asking for donations. Somebody has one magnet from every year you've been involved. We might need to get a picture of that, because if you have large numbers, we like to see those and go from there. So, okay. So and Carly did post the Facebook group link. So if you want to take a look at that and sign up, go ahead. All right. So I'm not seeing any additional question or stuff. Okay. Roxy's information there. Yeah, so definitely feel free to reach out to any of us, and we'll help you out how we can. And if we can't help you out directly, we'll get you to the right resource. So, all right, if there's no additional questions, I know Lindsay kind of mentioned this, but thank you so much, not only for attending today, but really being a volunteer. This campaign could not run without all the volunteers like yourself. And so we're, again, so graciously appreciative that you're here, and good luck with your campaigns. If you have any questions, as we've said multiple times, please, you know, reach out to us. Otherwise, good luck, and we will see you at trainings. If you're a training committee member, could you just hang tight and we'll just do a quick check-in after that. So thank you, everybody. You're welcome.
Thank you, everyone. Don't forget, we'll send you out requests for volunteers, and we're going to